Hey, this is Chasing Records, and you listen to On the Record. Today's podcast is featuring Reckless Velvet.
And this podcast, like every podcast, is sponsored by South River Brewing Co. Today, I'm having the Buckshot Craft Lager. Check out their website, southriverbrewing.ca. Free shipping on orders over $50. Enjoy, guys.
All right, well, here we are with another podcast. We're here with Reckless Velvet. Simon, how's it going today?
I'm good, guys. Yourself?
It's so weird. Now we're just talking that I messed up the time change completely, and it's funny because now that you think about it, here we are. You're a day ahead. You're already into Saturday, correct?
That's correct. Saturday morning here. Australia's into the future.
It's unbelievable. It's so weird. That's incredible, eh? I thought about this when we were lining up this podcast, and I had talked to you earlier. I said, "Hey, would you like to join us?" And I thought this is going to be so weird that you're already into Saturday. What does that feel like? You're in the future. We're so behind the times already.
Well, it's sort of weird when I'm because I'm on the phone. I've got the world clock because I collaborate with artists around the world. So, I've got the world clock, which helps because at least I go if I'm on Twitter or the messaging, it's 11 o'clock there. It's whatever it is here. Because the states are 16 hours behind, depending where they are, which part of the coast they are. So it's
crazy.
It's just it is. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, we clearly need one of those clocks because we just did a podcast with John Mitchie in the UK, and that one we were okay with the 5 hours. The 5 hours I can do. And then we actually have another one with AQ Wild. I think it's AQ Wild, I believe, is who we're doing another one with, and he's in Ireland this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's just funny that time change is not bad, but Australia, that's going to be one to get used to if we have any more.
You're only 5 hours off. It's not a big, only 5 hours.
Only 5 hours off. Yeah, just a little behind. Oh, it's all good. I'm glad we were able to do this though. First off, where'd you get your name, the Reckless Velvet? Where did that come from?
Well, a quick story. Originally, when I was on BandLab, I was just made up a quick sort of nickname, Riff Man. Just riff. I make music, so basically, I'm not a vocalist, so it's all about the music and guitars. So I had Riff Man, and started to get a little bit known on BandLab with that sort of nickname, and then started to get a few collabs going. And I thought, I'll change my branding. I thought I'll come up with a bit of a different stage name, and I actually got it from from one of those websites, band generator websites.
No way.
That's amazing.
I kid you not, because I wanted something a little different. You know what I mean? Because I'm I suppose a solo performer essentially.
Right.
So I'm not a band as such. So anyway, I was looking through, and then this, and I sort of liked Velvet just for some reason, just the word Velvet. So I started punching in Velvet, and then up come Reckless Velvet, and I had a half a dozen of them, and I actually said to my wife, I said, "Oh, which one sounds best?" And she goes, "That one." So Reckless Velvet was born.
Awesome.
It's kind of like some of our songs, Andrew? That decide the names of the songs.
Yeah, we just go with it. What were some that were close? What were names that were close? Velvet.
There was Velvet Underground because it's taken.
Yeah.
There's sort of similar ones like that. It was just one of those ones where you can punch in a few different words that you like, and then it'll just randomly sort of just generate. So it could have been, Reckless Rock or Rock Velvet or, that sort of stuff. And as I said, for some reason, when my wife's very good as a sounding board sometimes, and I just said which one, and she went with that. So I just went with that, and then initially people were Reckless Velvet, that's different, and I went, that's sort of the idea behind it, but something just stood out a little bit, and something a little bit different anyway.
No, it's great. It's a good name. Are you actually? Are you a Yankees fan?
Am I what?
A Yankees fan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Actually, I'm not. It's just one of those ones where you go,
all right.
I like the hat and I bought it. Yeah.
Because we were going to have to end the podcast right away.
Yeah.
If that was the case. Being in Canada and only having one Major League Baseball team as the Blue Jays, it would be a game over. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
They're the arch nemesis.
We do get all the sort of gridiron and the baseball here, but probably I'm probably not one of those sort of huge sport fans, if you know, or those diehard ones. I mean, I enjoy sport and all that, but I'm not one of those ones that'll sit there and sort of watch it all day as such anyway. But appreciate all the athleticism and all that sort of thing with them.
And you mentioned that, and it's something that is interesting because I've listened to quite a few of your stuff, but you only do collaborations because you said like you're a solo artist, but I noticed that you've even said in some of your posts that you can't sing, or you say I could maybe do backups, right? Have you ever tried to sing at all? Like,
well, it's funny. So I've with my band years and years ago, the Mickey Homicide. My brother was the lead singer, and
okay.
he passed away 5 years, just health related issues. And so he was a singer. He could sing literally anything. This guy, he just had such an amazing, powerful voice. And I'd come up with a riff, and we'd sit down together, and he'd come up with a song. And
Wow.
that's basically how we got. So some of my Mickey Homicide Resurrection is back in the 90s sort of stuff. And yeah, so essentially, yeah, I really can't sing. I'm not a singer. I've written a few songs. I've put up a few songs with my vocals on it. There's the Bogan song, which is a spoken song, which is essentially taking the piss out of bogans here in Australia, which is similar to rednecks in America, if you could, similar thing. The Pookie song was just a song about a kid losing their favorite toy, when kids go nuts when they can't find their toy. So I had my kids on the backup singing for that. I did a Time song, which is a vocal, just a vocally spoken song. So yeah, so not a real songwriter, not a vocalist, but I love making music. The guitar is my favorite thing, and predominantly rock bass. So I've sung. I wouldn't call it singing, but I've put my vocals to songs. I have my own stuff up there. There's a few of them, but yeah, I wouldn't say singing. No.
No, me neither, man. I tried it. I always wanted to. I always was like, it'd be so cool to sing, because that's like 50% of the song right there, right? Like I could write a song, but if I can't sing it, it's just kind of like whatever.
I've tried to record my voice, and I've
Terrible.
tried to sing. And my brother was all self-taught. He'd be lying at bed at night when he was younger, and headphones on, listening to Dire Straits, and he sounded crap. All right, he was out of tune, and it was just, oh God, here he goes again. But then all of a sudden he started singing in tune. He just started singing in tune, and he's if you ever want to have a listen, just have a listen to the I've got it up on Spotify and all that. The Mickey Homicide Resurrection. That's 8 tracks of our demo CD we did in the 90s, and then I released a Mickey Homicide EP, which is basically some of our first songs we ever wrote, and they're a lot harsher and a lot rawer. They were just recorded live, and you'll get a sort of an idea of his vocal ability back then as well too. So yeah, self-taught.
Awesome.
Yeah, I could never sing like that.
Man, my wife always tells me, like, you just gotta find your singing voice, but she's been telling me that for maybe like 6 years now, and I never found it. So I don't know. I'm gonna give up on finding it.
Yeah, I'm waiting to trip over it somewhere, but yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no. It's a good hider. My singing voice is really good at hiding. So we lucked out, because when Nate and I met, we were actually thinking, like, who's gonna sing this shit, right? And we had a few options that we were gonna try and explore, because we thought, these need lyrics. And then Nate gave it a go, and
I don't know.
he could sing. People, and it's if I could sing, if I could say I can't sing, I could. I would love that talent, but I don't have it. Nate has it, so it worked out.
I must admit, it's been newly found, I guess, in the terms that I didn't think. I guess maybe I don't like the sound of my voice.
No singers do.
And I think once I've realized that now, maybe that's just the normal thing. But I do for my job, I do like daily announcements for a school. So I've heard my voice a lot more lately than I ever have. So I don't know if that's maybe kind of getting used to it, but even still, I've said this before on a podcast, not about you with your music, and maybe it's different as a guitarist. Like, I play guitar, and I guess I don't mind hearing guitar back, over and over and over again, but I'm not a big fan of listening to the song vocally over and over and over again. I don't know what it is. And I want to, and Andrew knows, when we're mixing stuff, I'm like, I don't know about this, but I just need your honest opinion. Is it that terrible, or is it just me? Right? I just can't stand. So what do you find when you're mixing? Because now, do you mix your own stuff? Because you're doing collaborations, right? So I do. I guess.
Yeah, that's okay. So basically, when I come up with a song, I don't sit there and it doesn't pop into my head. Or I'm driving along, or like a vocalist can sit there and start singing a melody. It doesn't work for me like that. The only way I come up with my songs is sitting down actually playing the guitar. So I'll get out just the Les Paul, just strumming away. All those songs I've put up recently on Spotify, besides the Mickey Homicide stuff, were songs that I had in my head for 20 years. So it's only because of the technology nowadays in regards to just the home recording. So all I record with is I've got a laptop, which I'm speaking to you guys from now, audio interface to plug in my Les Paul, a Scarlett, which is fantastic. All the drums is a free VST software that I use. That's all pre-recorded.
We're in the same boat. Yep.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. The bass lines are my keyboard because I don't have a bass yet. The guitars are real; they're my Les Paul. But I use all free VST plugins for the distortion and the sound effects and everything like that. And I use Reaper for mixing. So basically, I'll come up with I come up with the song first. So I'll lay down the drum tracks first. I sort of do reverse. So I'll sit there, play my guitar, punch in the drum kit, paste it. That's the first part. Then construct it. So drums first. Then I'll lay down my guitar track. So I'll do a rhythm guitar, 2 rhythm guitars, pan them left and right. I like to pan them right out rather than keep them in the middle. Then I'll go to my keyboard, use the 2 fingers to play the bass on the keyboard, and so all the bass that you hear on all the songs are from a keyboard. So I've a lot of Google and YouTube research to get the sound right and to work with the kick. And then so then basically drop my lead in the end there. So then I'll mix it all on Reaper, and then I'll use, when I do the mastering, I've got a hearing loss, so my hearing's not that good when I'm talking about some of the frequencies and so forth. So I was struggling with a final mix, as in mastering, and I use eMastering, the online tool for all my mastering. Takes all the guesswork. It's not going to be as good as a proper professional sound engineer. You're going to get that precision with what they do, but I can't afford, just if I just want to put up a song for a bit of fun, I just can't afford to, invest that sort of money. And eMastered uses all that. So when I'm dealing with an artist, as in with the collaborations, a lot of it gets done by BandLab. So I'll have the song first, essentially. I'll call it a buffet. I've got about 20 songs there that are all fully ready to go, that don't have vocals. And then an artist will come along and go, hey, I like riff number 4. Okay, great. So they'll download it, put their vocals, upload it to me. I'll be sitting in my bedroom. They'll download it just into my laptop as a single stem, and then I'll mix their vocals into my mix. And so with the sort of collaborations, I'm very open. Just, hey, write what you want. If it sucks, I'll tell you. Or if it needs to work both ways. And then start mixing vocals. Some of the vocals are fairly simple, but then when I'm sort of mixing the likes of Gabriel, Kanka, which is a second album, he'll have 4 or 5 vocals sometimes. Jenny Stevens from the UK, some of her tracks, when she puts in vocals, there's 8 vocals. The song she did, Flower Woman with Jenny, beautiful song. Her vocals are just insane. She's just pitch perfect. There was about 8 tracks on that one, and so I needed a bit of feedback from her as I'm sort of recording it, mixing it, because and I can do music quite easy, but mixing vocals was a new challenge when I started collaborating, and I am by means no expert at mixing. I do an okay job. I think when I put a song out with vocals, it sounds okay. You know what I mean? Right. You could have, you could have a professional sound engineer would obviously be able to pick, pick
it apart. Yeah, they pick
it
apart. I'm sure. Yeah.
But for what the market is nowadays and how it's changed, how it's all about streaming and people just want, what we can do at a home recording studio will be enough for the general user, the end user to want to download and listen to, without the expense of a professional recording studio, I suppose.
I wonder if these sound engineers took the biggest hits in the last several years, just because all the technology we now have to record at home, and if I reckon
I reckon it probably they probably would have seen a change. I think it comes down to, once again, what you think. And years and years and years ago, when the iPods came out, whereas before we'd have everything on tape, and the sound quality through your headphones, your big headphones, over the course of time, people were accepting the lesser sound quality that was coming through, smaller, the iPods and all that. So iPods, over a period of time, not to say that it sounds bad, but you don't get the same sound as you do through a proper big ass stereo that you'd have, so once again, I think then people's perception of quality of sound coming through has changed a bit as well. And the sound engineers obviously is still there. If you're wanting to go spend a lot of money, the opportunity is there to do so. But I think you just sort of got to weigh up. If you've got the money, why not? If I had millions of dollars, yeah, for sure, I'd employ a professional sound engineer to make that song sound 100%. But I don't. This is a hobby.
And the average listener these days is, like you said, listening to it on their phone or on their digital small device. They're not playing it on anything that would require the thousands of dollars it costs to have it mastered by a professional or mixed by a professional. Unless you're, like you said, you had the money, then it'd be like, okay, I want the best, clearest sound for every scenario. But otherwise, the average listener doesn't have a sound system that they listen to their music on anymore. Usually it's like Bluetooth, right? Like off their phone to a wireless speaker now.
Wireless speaker,
exactly right. And it's just sort of understanding the change in the market, and that's why I love. And by all means, I'm not promoting eMastered. I don't get any money from it, but it's a but it's but it's the good thing about it. It covers it. So what I generally do is when I mix all with headphones. I don't have big studio, so I've got a very good set of headphones, which allows me to listen. So the beautiful thing about the eMastered is and you can fine tune it as well too, but you're guaranteed that your sound is going to be loud enough across all the platforms.
Correct.
So you don't have to stress about trying to worry about that. It takes all that guesswork, but also as well, a good soundboard is in your car, in the car stereo as well. So if your song sounds good in the car, and I used to have, when I was first learning, I'd go in the car and the bass would be just booming through, and I really struggled with the bass until I saw a YouTube thing about how to mix your bass guitar and your kick for rock. And basically what the advice I got, and it's amazing, what they do is at the 100 hertz, you drop the bass guitar by -9. So the 100 hertz gets dropped way down. You go, hang on, that's gonna be no bass left. But what you do is you boost the kick drum, because with the VST drum kits, I can separate everything.
You separate
you boost the kick by 9 at 100 hertz. So what happens is down that end, lower end, you've still got your bass sound, which is prominent, but it doesn't have they're not fighting. So before I had them fighting, and just a simple YouTube change in that, now all my bass and kick is clear. They're very clear.
Amazing.
It's funny because I've always said that YouTube University is what I call it. I've done many, even without music, that's where we're in the same boat. Reaper and VST plugins are our go-to.
Everything.
It's just Andrew and I, we collaborate. We're very fortunate. I think this week we finally get out of complete lockdown from COVID. We're at least allowed to move a little bit, but not see anyone really. So we've done everything where we've passed our music back and forth, virtual, we send stuff back and forth, and Andrew does all the mixing. So I know that he understands way more of what you're saying than I do in terms of splitting everything out. I'll kind of master my guitars or master the vocals to where I think that I like them. But then I said, I always say to Andrew, you get free reign after this. You want to put any effects on, you want to cut and splice and do whatever you need, go nuts. And he's done a fantastic job of it. But I mean, YouTube has been an unbelievable tool. Same with Twitter as well. You know, the amount of people that are on there that are so helpful. We couldn't do it without it. But I do renovations around the house here, and YouTube has been my go-to. I said, like, the amount of thousands of dollars I've saved, but even in this music adventure as well, it's been unbelievable. And we're in the exact same boat in terms of, we don't have a drummer. Andrew plays bass, I play guitar and somehow sing now. But everything else, you know, we have it, you know, and I was listening to some of your songs, but we have like cello in one of ours, and neither one of us know how to play cello, not a chance, you know, or even know where to find someone other than at the local orchestra here in London, you know, that could maybe help us out. So it's really interesting. Now for you though, because you're collaborating, you don't really have the opportunity to play gigs anymore then.
No, so my sort of gig playing days are sort of
over.
They're done.
Oh yeah. Look, I do miss the live stuff, you know, but essentially as well, part of my hearing loss has come from a lot of jams with the Marshall quad box going blaring away. And it was funny when I was starting to get back into the writing after my brother passed away, the guitar got shelved, and once I started experimenting a bit, and then it was originally Audacity. I found Audacity, which was played around. It was okay. I was just mucking around with some stuff, got the bug, and I thought, I want to try to find a singer like I had with my brother. Try to find a singer locally that I could maybe you know, form a relationship with, have a bit of sort of common interest in regards to songs. So I thought, all right, I'll do the. I'll put up on Facebook and one of the community ones, you know.
Yep. Huge mistake. Huge mistake, eh? You find everything.
Far out. Experienced musician wanting to collaborate with local singer-songwriters, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I tell you what, what I think I got was, just scary 65-year-old cat people who have their bloody recording studio dug in the ground in a dungeon, right? Who I'm thinking, you know, and because I don't know, I just don't trust people that have cats on their profile pictures. You know what I mean? So I reckon it's a dead cat and it's stuffed. But anyway,
you're right.
So I had these 65-year-old guys. No offense, but you know, I do recording, and I'm just going, no, I'm gonna get felt up or something, and you know, just get chucked down in a dungeon. So anyway, I got all these and I was just like, this is too hard. And then, but the other challenge was then, like a band, you know, you've got to try to find some people, then you've got to rehearse. And I've got 4 kids. I work full time. I've got limited time capacity to do my, you know, music. So I found, I stumbled across BandLab basically because I needed a free online mixing tool, which they have. All their stuff is basically Cakewalk, I think, and they've got an online mastering tool which is free. And I went, oh, okay. Then discovered it's actually a platform for collaborations and music and all that. And and then essentially Jenny was my first collaboration. That was
because the Flower Woman, right, was the latest single there.
Flower Woman featuring Jenny. So with that song Flower Woman, my brother wrote that song back in the 90s, and we've got an acoustic version. I've got an acoustic version that my brother and I recorded, the original song. Sean Hollis, which is Sean Sidetrack, on our album, he did the full version of that. So he sang that song for me, which is amazing. Jenny did her own version of that song, Flower Woman, but it's her own vocals, which she created a song, which is just a beautiful song. And then Gabriel did a version of the song, but not called Flower Woman. That one was, which one was that one?
I don't know.
Hang on. Headlong. So on that album, Headlong is the vocals to the same music of Flower Woman. Okay. So this basis of the Flower Woman song has been done 6 or 7 times through different artists.
Wow.
So all of a sudden now I don't have to worry about trying to gig or jam or everything gets done in the comfort of my
or
Online.
meeting strangers off of online.
More meeting strangers on Facebook.
I had in my old band, we were looking for a singer, and we, the funny thing about singing is people either know they can't do it or they think they can do it, and there's like 1% can actually do it, right? And I remember we had I rented a studio, like a jam space for 2 hours, and it cost like probably like $50, and we had everything set up there, and we had 8 people come and go, and they were all females, and we had 15 minutes per person. That's how we did it, right? We're like 50 minutes in out. So when someone we didn't tell them, we said we're doing an audition, but they didn't know that the next person is right next to them, right? We didn't know what we were doing. They all were so terrible, but we heard the range of terrible, like the high pitch terrible, the can't find a place in the song terrible, that has no lyrics, just looked at as terrible, the shy hid in the corner. It was like the whole realm of terrible. And then we went like, well, that was a waste of $50, and then we went home. And
it's like the wedding singer, the scene in the wedding singer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, boom. Whoa. I love that scene. That's just the epitome of trying to audition people.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And I wasn't down with that. I was younger at the time. I was younger, so it was easier for me to put up with it, I guess. But at this age, I don't know if I couldn't tolerate another botched audition. I've seen so many botched, and I'm a bad singer, but it was like if I was going to a band and doing what I could do currently as my talent of singing is what people brought that were replying to a singing like ad.
Audition, right?
Yeah, I was blown away. It was so shocking. So I learned from then that, the online thing, unless they have like some sort of like online, like they can show you samples of what they've done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm a great singer, and they come and it's like, oh my God,
Yeah, it's hard because I mean, like with anything, everybody starts somewhere. But I think it's very important, if you're wanting to go down the music path, whether it's for fun or a serious profession, you've got to get proper feedback in regards, and not just from your mum and dad or your friends, because your friends will generally tell you it sounds good. And I would rather, and like when I collaborate with people, they've got to tell me, they've got to be honest if it sucks, you know what I mean? Don't sit there and say it's nice, or if I've done a bit of mixing or I've changed something, and vice versa, I will be honest about if I'm not comfortable with that or if it doesn't sound right, so because otherwise, you get this false sense that you're sounding good and you're not really, and it doesn't help you as an artist to get better, so you don't necessarily have to be a good singer. There's a lot of not good singers in the market, as in vocally, technically, and so forth, but they will sing songs that are suitable for their vocal range, and they sound great.
Yep.
That's the key, is really, if you, like for me, if I wanted to sing a song, realistically, I've got to try to find a song that I could sing and it sounds all right, so anyone can sing. It's just try to find something that's going to work.
My song is the Itsy Bitsy Spider. I can rock that one. I'm available for rental at parties. Yeah.
And you gotta do the
exactly. We're clearly all parents here, so we all got it.
It's super artsy. It's like very you believe the spider story.
It's Itsy Spider climbed up the water spout.
There you go. Yeah, put a jazz tune in, you're all set. I had a question too, though, with collaboration. Who decides on the song names? Because I know you have Flower Woman, and then I was listening to Fool's Gold and actually scratched that because that one got picked up. It's getting up there, being picked up as well.
Look, sometimes I'll have an idea of a song in my head. If I've created I'll give you an example on one of the other albums. We shot the Fractured album. I wanted to write a ballad, love song, sort of just a cruisy, basic love song. And I said to Sean, here's the song. It's a piano song, and I hardly play piano. It's my first piano song. And I said, can you write a song called Lost in You? He goes, leave it with me. So sometimes he works well if I give him a concept like that, and then he'll go away, and so he works quite well. But with a lot of the songs on the current album with Gabriel, the inside, with the inside outside, a lot of those ones were sort of, he'd write the song, I go, what do you want to call it? He goes, oh, and I'll sometimes come back and go, shall we call it Scratch That? Or so it'll be sort of looking what sort of comes out. And he goes, oh yeah, that sounds all right. Well, we'll go with that. So there's no sort of song title in mind until we sort of start going, all right, well, it's done. What do you want to call it now? Because I've got to upload it. He goes, oh, all right, yeah, that sounds good. I'll go with that. So the song title is probably not so important as such. Obviously it needs to sort of replicate the song a little bit, but yeah, it's just sort of by random as such. As I'll suggest it and he'll go, yep, that's fine. And then but Scratch That was the first collaboration we did, and that song, the music I had, I did that years ago with my brother. He'd written some words for that one, and we used to play it as a song back with the Mickey Homicide days when we used to rehearse it. And then I thought, oh, that one, I've forgotten about that one. So I redid it, put it all together, put it up on BandLab, and Gabriel approached me, said, I'd really like to do that because it hadn't been approached before, that song. Anyway, and initially when Gabriel had put the words to it, I've just gone, okay, that's different, because it's Gabriel's just a amazing vocalist and songwriter, which will sort of surprise you. You don't expect what he puts down to go with that song. And
right.
Similar with Scratch That, the vocals are different, and because it's a very heavy metal song sort of thing, but then they work. And after I've listened to it a few times, I went, yeah, okay, hang on. And once I started mixing it down and then it kicks ass. And then it actually on BandLab, we got trending 1 in metal. It got 750 plays on BandLab, and then it got picked up. Yeah, we won. It got picked up on the Carbon Footprint Billboard 100 in January. We got first place out of that, and that was a trip because I put it in there and I thought, oh, we'll see how we go. And then I was watching as they were doing the countdown to it. 35, oh, I'm not there. 20, well, we're not there. 10, I went, oh, I'm too tired. This was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm waiting to see if we got up there. Anyway, I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning, and then I get a message from Carbon Footprint going, you okay? You're not celebrating your win? I've gone, what? At 7 in the morning, I've got up and I'm, holy crap, we got first place. Woo!
Wow.
Which is a buzz. It's a buzz because it's not about winning for me. It's we got a song the last time, I think it was in December, was Rock My Way Out, which got number 23 or 22, I think. So for me, it's not the winning, it's the recognition. It's the fact that people took the time to listen to the song, vote for it. The fact that we got 1, first place is, of course, it's a buzz, but it's the fact that it got recognised. So when you guys know, you're sitting I'm in the bedroom. That's where it happens, amongst other things. And you create something from nothing. You go, oh, this little guitar riff, and then you start developing it. And somebody says, hey, I like that. I want to put vocals to it. You go, oh, okay. And then they put vocals to it, and then you go, geez, that sounds all right. I'll put it out there and just see what happens. And then, yeah, so it's a great song. It's as I said, it was, for me, it's one of those things where you it's like your little baby, you know what I mean? Here it is, and you put it out there, and you protect it and make sure it's going to be okay. But sometimes you have to
let it go,
and
let it go to the world.
And like with anything, it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea, of course. But yeah, that's not, I don't do it for that. It's quite selfish. I do it for me, really, because it's just a buzz. It's just a buzz, putting your stuff out there and just having fun.
And that's for Nate and I, it's not, I don't think it's like so much like I can't wait to be a millionaire. It's more like it's the feeling you yeah. But Simon, it's the feeling that you got when your song was number 1, and that's the feeling that I think that we're kind of chasing, is that feeling of like, we spent all this time recording and we think it's really cool. But to see that, like the world, when you put that song in the world and it's out there, they are like, you won, or even you top 10, or you made the list. Even that's wicked, right?
Oh yeah.
That's really all it's about, is just being like, we thought it was cool. Maybe we're not delusional if, you know, it gets recognized as being cool, right? Or so yeah, that's great. That's great. That's awesome.
It's a buzz because back in, you know, the 90s when we were, you know, young and wanting to take on the world and all that sort of stuff, you go, bloody hell, how do we even get outside our town, you know, to get the music out? You cut a CD, you got to post it, literally back then, post it.
Yeah, put in the mail.
Give it, you know, so now with that, and obviously when you're on Spotify artist, you can actually see who's listening to your music. And, you know, we're talking, it's such a trip when you look at the app and you go, holy crap, you know, Arkansas or bloody Japan, and there's just listened to, and people are listening now, and you know, you go, it's insane that the technology now allows your music to get that far, and that's, for me, that's just a buzz. And in a lot of what I've been doing has been in my brother's sort of memory as well. That excuse me, he would have loved the technology. He would have just loved being able to, you know, the ability that he could be over in his house, I could be in mine. We don't even have to catch up.
Exactly. Yeah.
As such. So yeah, it's just for me, it's just one of those things. And when, you know, as I said, the Twitter community, you know, the Twitter in, you know, the media gets a bagging as an overall concept, but you don't worry about that. The Twitter indie community and you guys, and you know, we see all the posts, and there's a few idiots that'll you know,
always
a few bad, you know, that'll spoil it, and just, it's just so everybody helps each other. You know, we don't make any money from it, right? So we're very supportive, you know. And if you do, I've sold 3 albums on BandLab. I've made $22 Australian. You know,
So
3.
awesome.
So, yeah. But
awesome.
as I said, like, and on Spotify, you know, with Spotify and through DistroKid, which I use.
That's too.
Yeah, and so since there's been a lot more streams because obviously it's delayed, but since August, because I started in uploading in August last year, so since August, and of course split between collaborations, I've made $3.85.
It's a beer.
That's enough for a pint.
Yeah.
What?
You can buy a beer that you can do it. Good for you. Every
I
6
remember
months you get 1 free beer. That's pretty good.
I saw an artist had put on his post. It was funny. He was just talking about the Spotify and how many streams he had that come through, and he goes, "Yeah, you got my I'm able to go out and buy my Dr. Pepper now."
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's funny. We had someone on here who said Spotify is kind of becoming like the new like radio, in the sense that no one listens to radio anymore because Spotify exists. So it's interesting because you know, we're trying to go on radio stations, and then when we get on them, we go like, oh, we gotta get people to start like, you know, voting for our songs, but then it's like, who listens to radio anymore? So Spotify is interesting because it's like everything is connected on it, right? Like the big bands and the big like artists and the, you know, pop stars, and then, you know, we're on it. And yeah, it's its own kind of politics to Spotify that I let Nate handle because I'm like, I can't handle it. I don't know, you know.
Yeah. But it is. Look, for the indie artists, it's one of those necessary evils. If you're not going to spend money on a social media manager, you know, which costs a lot of money. So, you know, I'm on YouTube, I'm on BandLab, I'm on Bandcamp, I'm on Twitter, I'm on TikTok now.
Oh, God. Sorry.
Yeah.
We don't know what we're doing. Can you help us, Simon? Can you help us in any way?
I've got no idea. You know, you've got your 1-minute videos, and look, it's just another medium that you can put stuff up, you know. So it's understanding the marketplace nowadays in regards to, okay, so how are people listening to music, you know, and that just changes so quickly. So as an indie artist, you know, you can spend a lot of your time on Twitter, but you've got to then get an idea of what are you getting out of that back. You know, if you're doing it purely just for fun to get on there and be social, awesome. But if you're trying to make something from it, you've got to then dedicate where you're going to get your exposure, you know. So it's important to have across the board, and that's what I do. I'll just sort of spend some time there, spend some time there, in regards to just building up your sort of, you know, your followers and so forth. So the way you sort of look at it with Bandcamp, people can buy your track for $1 or an album
Right.
for $7. The way I sort of look at it, if I can get 1,000 followers who like my music and they want to buy it for $1, well, there's $1,000.
Right.
So it becomes that sort of, and actually it's funny because I always think, Spotify's bad. You've got to have it as a marketing tool. And another artist made a comment which actually made sense. I said, no, you go to Bandcamp, be able to sell your product for $1, or $7. And he said, I would rather than somebody buy my track for $1 and then go away and never come back again. I went, okay, I'd rather them stream it where they will come back all the time. And I went, that sort of makes sense. So it becomes then, you've got, as an indie artist, you've got to understand what your market, the end user's doing, and you have to play to that because it's changed. So if you're still trying to do old school and you're wanting to make something of it, you're going to be buried in the heap somewhere and nobody's going to listen. So so it's just, has music been devalued as an artist? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
As a whole, but it's out of your control, unless you want to donate blood to a record company and fork out all that cash for them to do it, then you've got to pay that back. Example, we had a Boom Crash Opera, which was a band here in Australia back in the 90s, quite a popular band, and they used to jam in the same rehearsal studio. And I was the lead singer came back and started doing a few releases himself, and he said, "We're broke. We never made any money." And they were a popular Aussie band back in the 90s, sold a lot of records, did concerts and all that. They said, we didn't make any money. By the time you fork out all the costs of the studio, recording and promotion, everybody gets a cut. And the poor old artist, he said,
nothing.
Yeah, we were broke. And you go,
yeah.
So,
it's sad. It's sad. And then, like you said, man, like if you had 1,000 fans and the song was $1, you think, okay, I make $1,000. But then the whole idea of I own an MP3 of a song, that's gone. That's no one cares about that. You're right. Because I think it speaks to the attention span of people, right? As a generalized population, it's just kind of like, I want this song, it's 3 minutes, I want the next thing, I want the next thing, I want the next thing, I want the next thing. And it's kind of sad. There's so many options and so many things to support, but it's kind of gets lost in that because there's too many options for someone to even what do they like? They like a sound, but there's so many bands doing the same kind of sound. Then it's like, how do you decipher without seeing them live and having any sort of connection to them? How do I decipher these 7 bands who are very similar? It's tough. It's very tough.
Exactly. Although I think though with the I think that down the track there will be an opportunity to compete against the likes of Spotify. There'll be a concept that will come out that will benefit the musician more, as in that, because there'll be competition. So once you get big, and Spotify there's going to be competition as far as saying, well, hang on, if I'm going to put my music up, and if the market is wanting to listen to something other than Spotify, and if the market is understanding that this particular app or whatever you want to call it is actually pays the musicians better, or they're going to get a better payback, then all of a sudden you've got competition, where all of a sudden an artist, people who will appreciate what people do as far as music and will shift across those. Well, Spotify is probably the big player. There's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the track, there'll be another concept that will come out that will challenge that. And hopefully there'll be that sort of shift of support as such. Hopefully
there's got to be something, at some point something's got to break the mold. And we were talking about that before, that the record companies have their hand in everything, that's big. That's why they have it there. But eventually, the nice thing is this indie community is fantastic. And eventually we were joking along and being, if we could all get together in one spot and have almost like an indie fest where, we play and buck the trend, wouldn't that be, it was just interesting to be almost like the Wall Street kind of thing, right? Where, the little guys go up against the big guys and win for a little bit. Even for a little bit, it's a small victory.
That's if anyone shows up though. You know what I mean? We're like, let's play a show. There's no one there. It's like,
you have the indie Woodstock, and you got to wear a face mask and have a hole in the slit so you can still be able to drink.
That's right.
And then each band's got to stay 1.5 meters apart, and yeah,
we can't we can't share a drum kit or anything. As
No.
sanitized.
Setup time is like 3 hours in between each band.
Yeah, he'd be like, so, good day, ladies and gentlemen, we've got to
Oh, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. All right, Simon, before we go, because we're running out of time here, but before we go, do you have anything that's upcoming right now that you're in the works with right now that you want to share?
No, I appreciate that. Probably at the moment, I suppose music making recording's just on hold a little bit. I've got probably still about another dozen songs that I want to be able to put together and then share again, and hopefully have some new music. So concentration at the moment is probably just on the 2 albums I've got, as far as just promoting, sharing. We recently did our own music video for Still Writing, which is on YouTube. So I self-produced that. That came out all right. I got Sean over in the States to do the shoots while he was driving. He sent it over to me and I've uploaded it. So if you want to check that out on YouTube,
Absolutely.
Still Writing.
Awesome.
It's our first music video, so that came out all right. So yeah, it's probably a few more music videos coming up.
Okay.
Cool.
For the 2 albums. So we'll sort of be looking at that. But yeah, music making's just on hold, just to sort of promote it a little bit at the moment.
Fair enough. Yeah. And just so everyone knows, what's the best place to find you?
Yeah, so just look up Reckless Velvet. There's not too many of me around as far as with a name like that. So on all the streaming, Spotify, Deezer, all the platforms, Apple Music, YouTube, BandLab, Bandcamp. Look up Reckless Velvet. You'll see me there.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Honestly, we need to do this again because this has been fantastic, and it's nice to hear kind of how you've collaborated. It's very similar to our, kind of what we've done so far. But we both, I want to thank you, and I hope you'd be willing to come back on again.
Oh, anytime,
For
mate.
sure.
Yeah, I had an absolute pleasure.
Sure.
This is great.
And before we go, I just want to say enjoy your morning, which is so weird to say, but enjoy the rest of your morning.
Well, it's funny. They've just put us in 5-day lockdown here in Melbourne.
Oh,
awesome. Well, get some writing going, okay? Get some writing going.
Woo!
exactly.
All right, man. That was awesome. Thanks so much. All right. You're welcome back anytime.
Anytime, Simon. Thank you.
All right. Have a
Good
good
on
one.
you guys. Thank you.
Ciao.